Hello and welcome to Dice Punks, a tabletop role-playing podcast where we focus on playing full campaigns in less well-known systems. Before we get started on episode 2 today, we have just a couple of notes which I'll reel off as quickly as possible. First off, the Dice Punks record the podcast in our homes across the US, so lag is sometimes a factor. I've tried to edit around it here, but you may notice some odd pauses or crosstalk I wasn't able to entirely correct for. My apologies if any of those moments are hard to follow. Another consequence of our remote recording in pretty DIY circumstances is that all the homes we record in have pets, some of which were more intrusive this time than usual. Again, an effort was made to edit for it, but you'll doubtless get snippets of noise here and there, as well as the occasional awkward edit to remove larger disturbances. In fact, you may have heard some pet noises on my end during this admin. Perhaps the biggest deal with the most minor effect on recording, though, is that when this episode was recorded, our very own Duke of Nothing, Drew, was recovering from a bout of COVID-19. He certainly doesn't let on much during the recording, but I wanted to both applaud his resilience and commitment, and also give you listeners a heads up for any irregularities introduced by having a quarter of our podcast crew suffering from the dread plague. Finally, a minor pronunciation note. Robin and I both pronounced the name of the barmaid at the Nightcap, that's the tavern the gang stopped at last time, as Kaya, when in the previous episode, as well as in subsequent episodes, her name is pronounced Kaya. Sorry for the confusion. Well, that does it for notes. Apologies for the preamble, and on with the show. Hello, and welcome to Dice Punks, a tabletop role-playing podcast where we focus on playing full campaigns in less well-known systems. This week in episode 2 of Nightfall, we'll see what our newly minted demigods are really capable of. Thanks for joining us. Hello, I'm Adam, your friendly neighborhood game master, and joining me are...
Hi, I'm Drew, playing Dosktier, Duke of Nothing, and striking sad boy who doesn't know that you know how in over his head he truly is.
I'm Robin, and I'll be playing Lyssa Crate, the spoony and skyscraping Duchess of Fury.
Hi, I'm Dez, and I'll be playing Rumnet, the mundane, but still captivating, prophet of the Obsidian God.
Excellent. Thank you all for those wonderful introductions. Before we get started, let's briefly recap the previous episode for ourselves and our listeners. Dusk. Wrong. I'm doing so good, you guys.
We're having a great time.
You showed up when it was time to make the episode, so you have 9 million points up on me.
I didn't know
Yeah, but you have a several million point handicap because of the Rona.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. On the off chance this part is in, yeah, neither rain nor sleet nor gloom of global pandemic will keep me from my appointed roleplay, dear listener.
Oh, we need to keep
We
that
salute
in.
you. Let me try again. Excellent. Thank you all. Before we get started, let's briefly recap the previous episode for ourselves and our listeners. I think Lyssa has this one.
Hey, everyone. Well, a recap of last time? Where do I even begin with that? Oh, wait. Hold on. First things first. Have you done something new with your hair? You're just glowing today. Like, there's a different energy about you, and I'm really digging it. If I had a star for every time you brighten my day, well, darling, I'd have an entire universe. Anyway, that recap. Now that I'm less distracted. Some bad things happen. I'm not going to dwell too long on that. But I ended up with the soul shard of the Obsidian God, who I now know is named Mott, thrust into me. Not a fan of it, to be quite honest. It's not anything that I asked for. I was perfectly happy at the smithy before all of this started. Long story short, ended up in the heart of Fermata. Everything was dark and dull and made of obsidian. And the big guy Mott mentioned that, me and 2 other fellows were to do his bidding. The other guy was Dosk. This seems to be very knowledgeable. Good energy about the fella. I like him. And he is a noble like I am. And I also met Romnut, who managed to light up even Mott's darkness, but I'm pretty sure that Dosk is more his speed. We eventually ventured up into the Ritus city. Apparently, Fermata is like two sides of a mirror. One side quiet, the other side a perpetual party. I'll give you one guess as to which end I prefer. And we made our way to a perfectly cozy tavern, owned by the body of Veen. Easy on the eyes if I do say so. And the sweet barmaid Kaya. Of course, being who I am, I bought a few rounds for the entire bar. If this is going to be my fate, might as well make the most of it and get the city drunk with me. Eventually, we headed off to our rooms. I would say we called it a night, but the nature of Fermata is that we can't really tell what time of day it is. It's always dark. I'm probably going to put up a bunch of torches the first chance I have and try to do something about the dreary atmosphere. And, oh yeah, should probably check on my friend Varric when I have a chance to. Back to you, Hollyhock God.
That was wonderful. Thank you, Lissa. And that's pretty much where we'll pick up. Last time we ended with the two of you having seemingly kind of portentous dreams of standing overlooking all of Taraxis while darkness flowed out of you to cover the land, and it was good. But you wake up with those dreams merely a slightly troubling memory. It's not like there's morning light slanting in through the windows or anything. No real source of light for it, but your bodies kind of know when it's time to get up all the same, and we'll say that you come out of your rooms and down toward the common room at more or less the same time. Not perhaps, synchronized, but within a couple minutes of each other. So, place is pretty quiet. I mean, for the riotous city anyway. You can still hear chatter outside, but the common room is mostly empty. I think probably safe to say that Romnet went back to his house, since, he's got one here. But presumably, I seem to remember even that you were told where to find him if you needed him last time. So if you decide to go looking for him, you should be able to get there with only a few stops to ask directions. So with that, I put it back in our players' hands, at least for the breakfast interval. How are we spending our first morning in Fermata?
Side note, Adam? XP spending?
Yes.
Roll.
Oh, thank you for the reminder. Romnet has a particular attribute here. Our player characters who are Nobilis only got the one mortal experience point last time, which doesn't give them a lot to spend, or we'd have recapped it. But with Romnet, he gets to roll per session for a little bit of additional experience for lore-related things. So would you go ahead and do that roll for us?
Yeah, and so the skill is called Student of Curiosity. It's part of a path called Ardent Scholarship. And once per session, roll lore, which for me is 6 dice. And that gets me 3 threes, so that's a success. And I get a free XP.
Indeed. So this was probably a little evident from last time, but for our listeners at home, the goal when we are rolling, which always means we're doing something on the mortal level in this particular system I've cooked up, is to get matches, at least 2 of the same number in the pool of dice that you roll. And so 3 threes there is, handily succeeds, and Romnet is able to get a little bit of extra experience points. Or an extra experience point, I should say, to be put towards scholarly pursuits. So, now, I believe we arrive at our breakfast interval for Dosk and Lissa.
Do we arrive in the common room around the same time, or does one of us find the other waiting? Roughly, we get there around the same time.
I feel it's about the same time. It's probably not like meeting at the door and going, "Oh no, you first. Oh no, you first." But
and that's the rest of the session. Okay, so
pretty much, yeah. By the time you've got your bearings, you're both in the common room.
Good morning?
Good morning to you. How's the morning treating you?
So far, so good. I'm still banding my beard. My hair has already been banded, but if you'd come upstairs and seen me 10 minutes ago, you would have seen a storm cloud of hair and probably no face to be seen. That's just about taken care of. So as I band that, I say, was your night interesting? That's rude. I don't mean to.
I didn't sleep well, and not for the reasons that I think you're inquiring about.
I am, and I'm sorry about both of those things.
Yeah, the blanket was just too short. Either my toes were exposed, or it just fell right under the girls, if you know what I mean.
I do. I mean, I don't, because I'm the size I am, but I understand completely. So, anyway, this is weird.
Yeah, can I get you breakfast? That's the least I can do.
That sounds great. Sure.
Where can a girl grab a bite to eat around here?
So Kaya is nowhere to be found, but there is a stolid and grim-faced cook who, on cue, appears with 2 bowls of what seems to be liberally buttered porridge and some glasses of, well, some kind of milk. I say glasses. They're probably actually carved of obsidian because that's the most plentiful material around here. And sets them on the counter for you with a sort of somewhere between gruff and friendly kind of grunt. And then he trundles back into the bag.
I return it 3 times louder than I mean to. Probably sounds something like...
Very manly.
The 4 other people eating breakfast in the common room all look over at you for a second and then shrug and go back to what they were doing.
I put some coins on the table and make sure that they make a bit of noise as they're hitting the counter. And then say, man, I wish I could get some eggs and bacon, greasy food to counteract all that drinking I did last night.
There is no particular response to these words.
It's good to know pretty conclusively that the bar isn't taking the orders itself. That would have been great, but anyway, it's food.
Yeah, I suppose it is.
Probably I venture a bite of the buttery porridge first.
I watch attentively.
Pretty hearty. It's not like especially flavorful, but it's been well buttered and salted. There's even a little bit of cracked pepper over it. So, it's about as good as morning porridge can get. It's hearty.
Brings me back to my day on the farm.
I can confirm that this is food.
Well spoken, sir. So, where do we go from here?
Well, it seems we're just sort of waiting to have an assignment. Is that the right term? Quest? Something from the Obsidian God. I still think I'm here because of some sort of clerical error, but I assume we can work that out. I don't know how you bring that kind of thing up with a god.
I'm also here for this whatever clerical error resulted in your being here. You're the Duke of everything, and as we've already established, I'm the least angry person you'll ever meet. So
easily the least angry I've met in several days.
I appreciate that. I'm not sure where we file our complaints. Maybe that Romnut fellow would be a good place to start.
He seems as good a place as any.
I am the cleric.
Erroneous and otherwise. Yeah, no, so I should mention at Romnut's name, Dosk does get a faraway look for a second, but then let's find him.
Oh, yeah, I think you stand a good chance with that one, if you don't mind me providing a tip or two from your good old Aunt Lissa.
I certainly hadn't thought of you as an aunt, but tips are good. Am I his type? I don't think I'm his type.
He's totally into you.
He seems to be into everybody, though. Is it just like a friendly thing, or am I special, I guess is the question.
He's not into everyone, because he's not into me. He's into you.
That's a really good point. Everyone else possibly in existence does seem to be into you. Okay. My chances are looking better.
Yeah, if I can say so myself, I would say go for it.
Dosk produces a silence that is deafening.
I will take the opportunity of the silence to point out that Lissa is 6 years younger than Dosk by the ages on her character sheets.
That's all right.
They sure don't know that.
Not that they would
younger.
necessarily... Not that they would necessarily know that or care, but I just wanted to point it out for the benefit of our listeners and players.
How old are you two?
That enriches it.
I realized that I could, look it up on your character sheets, but that would
You
deprive
could,
our
but I mean,
I'm
Lissa-
23.
and I'm 29.
And Dosk is 29.
Yeah, but I, in case you haven't noticed, a pretty young 29.
Whereas
Yeah.
at 36, I'm apparently the old codger of the group.
You're our guardian and custodian. Congratulations.
Oh,
Good luck.
Lord.
There was speculation that he was 36,000 last session, so...
Yeah, that's probably as I keep stammering, I say something along the lines of it's usually with older guys, and I don't know if I've ever done millennia older or tens thereof. Are there complications? I don't want to presume that you have experience in that area.
The wrapping doesn't make it any less of a gift.
That's well said.
Having finished your breakfast at some point after that exchange, you make your way out into the riotous city and spend probably a few minutes, which is to say probably more than a few minutes, searching, through the city, getting your bearings, trying to follow the as precise as they could be, but still not amazingly helpful directions that Robnet gave you to his house, which exists simultaneously in both the quiet and the riotous city, or at least sort of in a liminal spot between the two of them. One door leads to one and the other to the other. But you do eventually make your way there. If there's anything in particular you wish to observe, say, or do on the way, this would be the time to register.
Anytime I can make it to the mirror canal unobstructed, I'm probably not going to be able to resist looking in it.
Every time you look in it, there is somebody in this place your reflection would occupy, looking into it back at you with a similar posture and expression, although the exact person and their exact appearance and size and attitude seems to change every time. But the moment where you register your reflection is always just enough of a match to make you wonder for a second if that isn't you before you register the rest of their appearance and realize, no, of course not.
If not the first time, then eventually when I'm doing this, I say, "Looking good, stranger."
And again, their mouths move at the same time as your mouth does, in roughly the same cadence, but there's no audible sort of way to tell what they're saying.
Back away from the canal, convinced that I'm able to look cool, and also that everyone's looking at me, looking cool while I do it.
But of course.
Also, as a corollary,
You're still looking sharp.
lip reading is a useful skill in this city.
I acknowledge the compliment and try not to let it show that I'm pretty sure she doesn't think I look cool right in this precise moment.
I resist staring into the canal because, well, what good will it do me?
The journey does not ultimately take a really long time. It's probably just over half an hour, but during that time you do traverse enough to see that there are intersecting canals, as well as a veritable spider web of roads and alleyways and walkways and bridges. The city is not visible very much at a time. The buildings are tall enough and the roads, while not twisting and turning precisely, have enough variation to them, as do the canals, that it is not possible to see a ton of it at once. And the lighting doesn't help. If you'll remember, there is no central light source. Everything is just kind of picked out from the background in a muted glow, regardless of what angle you're viewing it from or sort of where it is in relation to you. So it takes a little bit of getting used to, but the directions are good enough that you do eventually come to what you are pretty sure is the right place in a comparatively quiet little stretch of road if I remember correctly, near the manifestation.
Yes.
Is that accurate to your memory? Good deal. Which is, of course, the name of the massive cathedral-like building that occupies the same place in both quiet and riotous cities, and that you emerged from below when you first arrived here. And sure enough, there is the house matching the description, and you walk up to it. Would I be correct to assume that one of you knocks, and if so, who is it?
Dosk can take the lead on this one.
Dosk steals his courage, and is there a knocker, or am I knocking freehand?
That's a good question, Ramnat.
There is a knocker. It is brass and is the face of some manner of creature that you may not recognize, holding the ring in its teeth.
I regard the animal face as though there's a non-zero chance it will bite me, and then when presumably it doesn't, I pull the knocker back and release.
And it strikes the plate,
Cozy.
and you hear footsteps. The echo fades away, and you hear footsteps approaching the door, which opens, and there is Ramnat, looking distinctly sort of sleepy, dressed certainly, grumpy possibly at the state of the whole world, unclear, holding a very large mug of something that is distinctly not steaming. He beckons you both in without saying a word. He leads you back into a kitchen that has 2 plates of eggs and bacon and 1 relatively empty plate, as well as glasses, mugs also of whatever it is that he is drinking, like his life depends upon it.
Mind if I help myself to some of that eggs and bacon? We only had porridge.
I thought that might be the case, so yes. There's all.
I proceeded. Oh, sorry. Go on.
There's also coffee. It isn't hot, but that shouldn't be a problem.
As an aside, it is entirely possible that Lissa has neither seen nor heard of coffee before.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Don't say that out loud, though. I just proceed to eat my plate full of eggs and bacon, and if I catch anyone glimpsing at how much I'm putting on my plate, I give them a winsome smile, a wink, and say, I'm a grown girl.
I mean, while I'm doing a huge amount of math in my head for how much eggs and bacon I can gracefully eat, having already filled up on porridge, but not wanting to be rude, of course, but also not wanting to appear overeager. I'm fighting a war with myself over breakfast.
You are so fucking precious.
Was that out loud?
That was not even in character.
Okay.
So the two of you put away some eggs and bacon and feel much better after that, even though the light has not changed and it still doesn't feel quite right. The kitchen is relatively homey, and the salt, fat, and protein has revitalized you.
I do want to try some of this coffee, though, so
There is a mug of it.
Oh.
Like,
So
yeah.
I just kind of take a sip of it and try not to make a face.
So when he says it's not hot, is it room temperature or is it?
Oh no, it's cold.
Oh, it's cold. Okay,
It's cold brew. It's like iced coffee.
Yeah.
So even if I'm thinking, even if Dosk has had coffee, that's probably exotic.
A little bit. I'm going to assume that whether or not you decide Dusk has had coffee, he's heard of it. He's from a merchant family that trades, past the Shadowed Lands.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, so then I begin opining on the coffee and comparing it to other coffee I probably have not had, and saying it compares extremely well.
You have about half a mouthful back when you hear, Ramnat opens his mouth, but the voice that comes out is not really his. Instead, you hear the voice from the well as filtered through human vocal cords. It says, "My other selves, my children, it is time for you to learn your functions. There are lights in the swamp. They must be extinguished. They know not their place nor my claim on this land, and we must, if we can't. Darkness is native to swamps. There should not be light. Expand my domain in this small way, and you will be ready for your next tasks. Go." And then Romnet kind of shudders a little bit and seems to be himself again.
And
What
takes
if I
a
like
very
the light?
very deep drink of the coffee.
I don't know if we've asked this. Do you know what you just said when that happens to you?
Do I know, Adam?
If you think about it, you can remember it.
Yeah, I will pause and... Ah. So you're headed out then?
Well, I gesture toward Lissa. What if we like the light?
I don't know that matters. You'll still be able to see. After all, we can all see around here.
This is non-alcoholic, right?
Correct.
In some ways, the opposite, actually.
Oh, dear.
There's something to be said for the other extreme, I should say.
We'll see. This is not something that I've had frequently or ever, and I'm still really not sure about this whole shtick. I think you can understand why. It seems like it's pretty rude to show up at a swamp that we've never been in before and just extinguish lights and oh my, why is everything buzzing right now?
I just look at you as if it's self-evident, just say, coffee.
Yeah, so where's the swamp?
When you say extinguish lights in the swamp, which of those are metaphors?
Oh, so we're not catching fireflies.
So, a little bit of Taraxis geography here. The Saru River is the major river that flows through what is more or less the middle of Taraxis, sort of providing the, what's the word I'm looking for? The watershed that most of the forest and most of the farmland is on. Dosk, you were in Selvin before you arrived here, which is actually located in the largest bend of the Saru River. And just around that bend, the river feeds a heavily forested swamp called the Cyanmere. That, if it's a sizable swamp that the Obsidian God was talking about, that's probably the one they were referring to. Possibly the sort of delta marshland between Calavin and Dosk's hometown of Ferret, called the Great Sump, could also be a candidate here, but, technically speaking, it's more marsh and delta than swamp. The forest recedes as you get closer to the delta there. Otherwise, you've really only got kind of smaller, more localized affairs, in the various places around Taraxis. It is not, there are no other great swamps around.
I gesture as though I have a map of Taraxis in front of me, even though I don't. And I say, so when you say swamp, which swamp? And when you say lights, do you mean... And when you say extinguish, that means...
We could use a fair bit more of definition, and still a notepad and pen for Dosk's questions.
I look at you, just like... I fear that even though I speak for the Obsidian God, I have no knowledge of what lies behind the words. The words are not mine. The voice is barely mine. It's mostly, in fact, not. And
Also, how do we leave Fermata, come to think of it? Because, I kind of got here by jumping into a hole in the middle of a cave.
Do we leave by...
That probably actually makes you think of Varric.
Oh! And I left my friend in said cave. I'm sure he's fine, right? He's fine?
I without knowing anything about the friend or the cave, I'm gonna say, yeah.
Oh, good. That's a relief to hear. I should probably still check in on him and let him know I did not jump to my death after everything that happened. Though, I mean, yeah. There's a lot to think about here. I'm going to just drink some more coffee. Don't mind me.
As it happens, Ramnet, you do know how to get out of Fermata. Not that people do it very often. There is a front gate and everything. There's not exactly a wall around the city per se, but if you know where to go, you can find the front gate. No one really knows how to open it, but presumably the Obsidian Gods' nobles would be able to get out if indeed
I will pass that along.
The Obsidian God wanted them to.
So there's a front gate. I don't know of anyone who knows how to open it, but I can't imagine that you two, being apparently alternate selves to the Obsidian God, would be prevented from it.
If I can just back you up a little bit, of course there's a front gate. But when you say that no one knows how to open it, do you mean that you and the rest of Fermata is permanently here?
Essentially. We live here.
Was that intended?
What do you mean?
Like, it's not exactly a sunny vista,
Well,
a vacation spot.
If you've never been to Therid, it's very nice. And I've never been to the Shadowlands, but I've heard about it from my Uncle Melly, and that sounds nice too. So I guess the point I'm getting at is, this is really good coffee, by the way. Is that a wildberry finish on the end? Anyway, my point is, there are other places to go.
Yeah, why Fermata? Why so many people here? It's surprisingly populated for a place that is perpetually dark all the time. I like the sunshine, in case it wasn't obvious. I do a lot of work on farms before I kind of committed myself to the smithy, and it just seems very dark here, and I'm not sure how I feel about people not being able to open the gate, because that begs the question of whether or not they could leave if they wanted to.
I'm sure that if they brought it upon themselves to leave, they would find a way, but for many people this is where they have always been and always lived, and it is a self-sufficient place. And if they want to change of pace, they can always go to the other side of the city.
I finish my coffee and go, well, I'm kind of down about that. Let's talk about happier things. Dosk, you have ideas, right?
For happy things, or about what in the world we're supposed to do if not displease our new boss, who is, I'm going to just check the notes I haven't been able to keep here, a god of some kind. We're supposed to go to a swamp and we don't know which one, to extinguish some lights and we don't know what that means. And you, my good sir, the bringer of the excellent coffee, did I mention it was very good and that it's lovely to see you again? You don't seem to know much more than we do, so what if we can't find what we're looking for? Sorry, that wasn't a happier thing, was it?
It's a more pragmatic thing, and there's something to be said for pragmatism.
I will pat you on the shoulder, semi-intending for you to light up if it happens. And
the shoulder does not twitch, but you feel it not twitching.
I have every confidence in your ability to ascertain the meaning intended by the Obsidian God. You are, after all, agents of his will and possessed of part of him.
As you hear Romnet say that, you actually, both of you, become aware that you feel something. It's not quite the same as just having, like, an epiphany where a thought suddenly occurs to you or, like, a transcendent feeling comes over you. But when you reflect on it, you realize that you do have some tools at your disposal. It's not entirely clear yet what they are or how to use them, but you feel drawn, like you're gonna know where to go. There's this ineffable quality about the knowledge that is at first kind of exhilarating and on reflection a little bit troubling.
You feel that too?
Extremely, yes. Do I, perhaps, without knowing this is what it's called, do my first lesser divination at this moment?
I think that you certainly can. So, for our listeners, the way that the divine abilities of our characters work does not involve dice. They simply have divine attributes that sort of form thresholds where they can perform miraculous actions either at no cost or else at the cost of some miracle points, of which they have a limited supply. I believe here that lesser divinations are going to be without cost for our Nobilis in this game. And so simply announcing that one is using it is usually going to be enough to get the information that you need, provided it is available through miraculous means and not being obscured in some way. Yes, so every miracle has a sort of level, and if that level is lower than your divine attribute for that kind of miracle, then you can perform it pretty much just by announcing that you are doing it. So Dosk's divine attribute of domain, reflecting his attunement to and control over his domain of nothing, as well as sort of attunement to his imperator, in this case the Obsidian God, is at 4. That's attribute is at 4 out of a possible 5, which is why we call him the Duke of Nothing. And a lesser divination is simply a level 2 miracle. So that's what we'd call a simple miracle, and Dosk can use it without cost to learn small things, general things about his estate. So in this case, though you may not precisely know what you are doing before you do it, you certainly manage to sort of turn your attention inward and feel your consciousness kind of open up. It's not so much like the senses you had as a mortal are expanding as that you have suddenly discovered a new sense. As though you can suddenly feel a magnetic field, only instead of drawing you to the North Pole, or I guess where you are, probably the South one, you are aware of where it is that the Obsidian God's domain is being affronted. You can't explain it in terms of the names that humans give to geography, and you can't point to it on a map, but you could face it.
It would be too much to say that I know where we need to go, but I know what direction it's in from where we are right now.
Nice.
If you'd like to know how I know that, I have no idea how I know that.
You just know it. That's the same sort of feeling that prompted me to walk into the Desolation, which is aptly named. No people go up there for a reason, but I did, and hey, here I am.
Yeah, it always seems to work out.
Well, shall we?
I suppose we shall, Romnet. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. I will smile at him.
And where am I standing? Am I standing in a place where I could kind of waggle my eyebrows at Dosk without Romnet picking it up?
Sure.
I do that.
What is the physical activity of attempting not to blush? I do that, so I probably make a less charming face than I intend to, but it's obviously a friendly one.
It is received as such.
Hope to see you again, soon when this whole extinguishing the swamp lights thing is done and dusted.
Yeah, feel free to, come back. And if I'm not busy, I would be happy to spend time with you both. That pause. Very intentional.
I've been meaning to kind of find a smithy around here, so I'm sure you two would have a lot to talk about.
I could point you to several.
That would be much appreciated.
Of course.
Lissa living into her essential antfulness. I'll just leave you kids to talk for a minute. Swirls wine glass.
Put a sock on the doorknob if you don't want me to check in.
Just Fury Elemental, Incredible Smith, Chaotic Neutral Horny, Wine Ant.
Wine Ant.
So when Lissa pulls off this gambit, Dask looks simultaneously excited and horrified, and sort of plants himself back where breakfast was, and turns the chair more toward Romnut than it was before, and says, "I mean, if you need to get some smith stuff done, got a smith. The forge waits for no woman."
Yes, exactly that, and so eloquently spoken too. Very, very good with your words, and tongue more generally, I'm sure.
Dusk's eyebrows lift off of his head and smash through the ceiling, which will need to be repaired later.
Good thing it's made out of obsidian. I will just... Do we need to roll to see how much damage?
At that, I will smirk. Also, I should probably roll Charm and Fascinate.
I would love it if you rolled a Charm plus Fascinate.
Okay, so with 3 dice, that's 1 and a pair of 8s, so that is 3 8s, because I have a Master Die.
That is true. So Master Dice in the one roll engine are dice that you can set after you have rolled to whatever value you decide you want. That with a height of 8 is a pretty intense smolder. Balls in your court, Dask.
Is Lissa still here? Dask's brain screams.
I'm slowly hedging out of the
Homer hedging out of the building.
With finger guns,
Yeah, you're backing out, but you're not moving up and down like you're walking. It's like someone has you on a dolly, pulling.
I'm taking the mug of coffee with me. I hospitality. I'll return it clean, but
We've invented to-go cups. So Dask is definitely going to try to disarm the situation with some kind of joke. So I think I rolled Charm plus Jest.
I would love it if you did. That's going to be 5 dice for you.
That is... Hold on. I'm not going to repeat my mistake with the mistaking 6s for 9s. That is a pair of 6s.
All right. That's a pretty decent little roll there. So irrespective of what you actually say here, that roll remains. But I would love it if you would role play the joke that Dask uses to diffuse the situation here.
I've probably had occasion to get more feedback on my words than my tongue, though I haven't gotten any negative feedback on the tongue side of things either, and I should perhaps stop talking and let you talk about yourself a bit.
I mean, I'm not sure what you wish to know, but I'll answer questions.
Well, I suppose, what do you do for fun? I hate myself as I'm saying it. Well,
I spend a lot of time around the city, and fun is often interrupted by people seeking words or information or affirmation from the Obsidian God. Although if they...
At that very moment, you hear the knocker.
I will stand up and excuse myself and go attend to whoever is at the door.
When you're far enough away that I think you can't hear me, which is probably 2 steps before you actually wouldn't be able to hear me, I mutter to myself, "What do you do for fun?"
You open the door, Ramnet, and you see that there is a supplicant from the city already, like, you know, kind of clutching their coin purse, tears streaking their face, looking very hopeful. And as you take this in, another person peels off from the crowd of the riotous city and sort of like takes up a place in line behind them.
I will...
and your day has well and truly started.
I will take them not into the kitchen, but into the sitting room with apologies and make concerned noises about, you know, what has them crying and so on.
Depending on the angle, I'm either just listening or I'm like, my head is poking around the door frame like the little rascals, you know, like.
I'm going to go probably with the second one because it's much funnier. Briefly, Lissa, are you using this time to look for smithies?
No. I'm just
okay.
waiting around outside.
So you probably see this line from a little ways off start to form.
Yeah, bummer.
And the first person get let in. Probably about the time that Dusk's head is poking around the door frame, it's like 4 or 5 people waiting to see Ramnet for his oracular advice.
If
maybe later for your pretty prophet there, Dusk.
If I do catch sight of him on the way out, I'll offer sort of a sad half smile at him.
Mm-hmm. Duty calls. I'll see you again.
Indeed.
I'm suddenly a lot more certain of a lot of things, and that's definitely one of them.
Good. I wish you the best of luck with the lights.
And I wish you the best of luck with, I have no words for what he's dealing with, so I just sort of spread my arms grandly at it and walk out.
Yeah, you just before the door closes behind you, you hear the first supplicant sort of say in this kind of cracked voice that they have lost something immensely valuable in the canals, and then the door shuts and you don't hear the rest of it. And then Lissa veritably just like appears.
Well, how'd it go?
For somebody who is almost frame. 7 feet tall. Yeah.
Like out of nowhere.
I don't know why Lissa's an anime character in this particular episode.
I do like the notion that Lissa is the stealth one.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
You may not be far off the truth there, but yeah, I appear and I'm like, well, any developments that I would enjoy hearing about, and some that, of course, you could keep to yourself.
Oh, there's nothing to avoid divulging. You're right that he's into me. Not sure why, but despite my being a conflagration of nerves and unfamiliar situations, he seems amenable. I want to see him again, is what I'm saying.
You're charming. Quit undermining yourself with that. Of course he's into you. I'm pretty good at reading these things myself.
I think someone such as you may not understand that the undermining myself is the charm.
I cannot. Now that you say it, it is rather cute. I probably should not drink coffee. I am learning this because I am just positively thrumming. So let's try to find this gate. And if you need any pointers on how to handle the pretty prophet, I'm happy to give you some.
I will take you up on that when I too thrum a bit less. Let's find that gate.
Oh, yeah. Throne less.
That's amazing.
You set off in search of the gate. It's easiest to follow the main canals, and sure enough, you actually find a point that you couldn't necessarily, like, give directions to or draw a map to or anything, but it does seem to be a convergence or a confluence of a lot of the major canals. They get to be sort of one wide canal over the stretch of about 100 yards of main drag, and they pass out of the city through sort of a low grate in the middle of a massive arched gateway that seems to have several smaller doors kind of cut into it. You could open, theoretically, the whole big mass, or you could open just the smaller sections of it, if only you knew how. People don't really go near it. There don't seem to be guards or gatehouses or anything like that, but this is clearly what Romnet was referring to.
Right. I guess this would be a good time for me to do a lesser divination, figure out which...
This is table talk, but like the two options here are like lesser divination or realm miracle, right? Like make a small change to a thing.
I could do a realm miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go for that, because we've already seen a lesser divination, and I have a realm miracle ranking of 2.
Yeah, so the realm divine attribute is governing your Nobilis' control over the chancel of the imperator to which they belong. So this is a prime opportunity there. And if you are looking for answers, then a lesser divination is a level 2 realm miracle, which, if I remember correctly, is going to be a simple miracle for you.
Yes.
Other options for you are just knowing about trouble in the realm, or what are called ghost miracles, where you can make trivial changes to the chancel. But with a lesser divination, you behold this gate. You sort of look at it, and your mind opens up. It's, again, sort of like just discovering a sense you didn't know you had. I can see, hear, touch, taste, smell, and perceive the domain of the imperator here, and sure enough, you can understand something about these gates. They're actually, well, alive would be the wrong word. They have sort of a spirit, a tutelary spirit to them, or a series of them that you can perceive now. They don't take form, but you're aware of them. It's not like you see them. You just know they're there. They are in something of a torpor, though.
I wake them up. And I think this would be a lesser creation within my domain.
Oh, that is going to be an interesting thing here. So, in case anybody at home didn't catch it, Lissa's domain is Fury. And a lesser creation is a level 4 domain miracle. So I think that's going to be a simple miracle for you.
It is.
Excellent.
I am the Duchess.
It's not going to cost you anything to create fury in these tutelary spirits.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that accompanies Alyssa's experience of creating this?
I sense that these spirits are slumbering, and I connect it to the fact that they're not used. That these people, to my understanding, seem to be trapped here. And of course that's something to rage against.
The machine, as it were. I'm sorry. Please feel free to cut that out.
Watch me not. You feel this sort of indignation on the part of these tutelary spirits flow out from you and into them, and you feel them rouse themselves not just from their torpor, but rouse themselves to anger. And each of them kind of governing a different part of this mechanism starts to, well, again, they're not physical, so saying they thrash is only a sort of figurative description of what happens, but the whole structure, kind of back in the mundane sense of sight and sound, starts to shudder in its place, and you certainly have the attention of these tutelary spirits now.
We'd like to pass through. If you could open the gate to the destination that we seek, you'll be
One
free.
of the tutelaries one of the tutelary spirits fixes its attention on you with some sort of acuteness. And again, it's not exactly hearing, it's more just perceiving its intention. But for the sake of a podcast audience here, and because I lack telepathy as a human being, I am going to render it into words, and will continue to do so for communications with tutelary spirits throughout this campaign. But the response that you get is something to the effect of, "Gah, finally!" And 1, 2, 3 of those little inlet gates boom, 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 pop open with kind of a cloud of dust and a large kind of crack of unused stone. 2 of them bounce closed again from the force of their opening, but the third one is held open, the nearest one to you.
I walk towards it, but before I pass, I rest my hand on the gate and thank it, and also apologize internally. I don't quite say it out loud, and I'm not sure what I'm apologizing for, but I can feel the relief and the anger, and I want to free it of that.
You're not sure how much of that ends up communicated to the tutelary spirit, but you regain your own sense of equilibrium a little bit, at least on the way out. Passing beyond this gate, this starless, sunless, moonless sky is all that you can see. It is not entirely clear if there is or isn't ground in front of you. As you proceed, 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps seem to be on solid ground. The 4th step sends you plummeting. There's no sign of the city that you left, no sign that there was anywhere that you came from. But in the next moment, just as that sickening, lurching feeling of falling sets in, you find yourself crouched on muddy ground. That goes for both of you, presuming that you both walk through the gate.
Yeah, I think we both walked through the gate.
Yeah. It takes you a moment to figure out what has happened, but you are in a different place. The air feels close. You can hear animal life all around you, and once you've been there for a moment or two and your eyes have adjusted, you can see around you that you are indeed in a wilderness. There are the dark shapes of massive tree trunks, and if you look up for long enough, you can just pick out stars in the sky from between the dense canopy overhead. Probably Dask and maybe Lissa have had just enough experience with this area to know that you're somewhere in the darkest part of the Signmere. So at least you're where you need to be. But that tugging sense of where you need to go, gone. You're here now. And you're in the dark.
Yeah, I say that. As far as my sense of where we need to be, we're there. So anything more specific seems to be up to us and our 5 previously held senses. I say this as though the thing about, because you said it to both of us, the thing about now having another sense, that's definitely occurred to her, even though we haven't talked about it.
Sure. That works by me. I am just staring up at the stars and beaming, and I look at Dask and I say, that's probably the second most important thing to me right now. I just didn't realize how much I miss seeing stars.
I look up.
There's a beat there while you look up, But Lissa, you're still looking at Dosk. At this point, you kind of were staring up at the stars, and you turn to him to speak, and in the distance, over his shoulder, you see a slow pulse of warm yellow light through the trees. It's just barely perceptible. If it was any lighter in this area, you probably wouldn't have been able to see it from this far off. But it sort of takes about 10 seconds to reach its brightest and then to fade away to nothing. Feels pretty welcome after all of the sort of silvery non-light of Fermata.
I point over his shoulder and go, ooh!
I snap to attention. I don't know, maybe just in time to see the main event.
You see the tail end of it, this warm yellow glow through the trees, just barely visible, fading away. And simultaneously, as it dies entirely, the two of you are hit with conflicting feelings. On the one hand, it's sad that the light that seemed so welcoming and such a good change of pace is now gone. On the other hand, though, when it fades, you realize that with it goes a sort of sensation like sandpaper on your mind that you didn't quite have time to perceive fully until it was gone. There's something that grates on you about this light semi-glimpsed through the trees.
If we look up at the stars, do we feel something of the same feeling?
Interestingly, no.
Well then, 2 for 3, non-metaphorical, jungle and lights. I take it then that we do need to literally extinguish them.
Or I relocate them, potentially, because as much as it kind of hurts my brain, I like them.
If you've got any humane traps on you, I'm certainly open to that option.
I don't. And I didn't exactly bring anything with which I could create a trap. I guess we should head in that direction and see what the source is and see if it can be reasoned with.
I don't have a better idea. I'm still looking up as I say this, and I say, I'm very glad the stars don't hurt.
Me too. I don't know what I would do if they hurt.
So we walk that way.
You set off in the direction of the light. Yeah, you go in the direction that you heard. You walk towards the light. You pick your way carefully. The ground is sodden and muddy below the thick canopy of the trees on either side of you. You have to wind your way through the trunks. There's no path or anything. And you really have to follow more than a straight line, kind of wherever the dry land is. This being a river swamp, it's not thoroughly inundated, but it is at least as much sort of cool, muddy water as it is solid enough ground. This late at night, and you can't see the sky well enough to know exactly what time it is, but the sounds around you are mostly insects, maybe some frogs and toads, not mostly larger animals, but you can sometimes hear them moving in response to your passage, taking alarm and swimming away or scurrying up into a tree. It makes for a somewhat unnerving and surreal passage, but fortunately, you see the light a couple more times, never seeming to really get any closer to you, but certainly visible through the trees. It sort of does that slow 10-second pulse on and then off every couple of minutes, give or take. It's not extremely regular, but you never really have to wait more than 5 minutes, and sometimes as little as 40 seconds to see it again. And so you can kind of stay on a heading as you head, well, either into or out of or around the swamp. It is almost impossible to develop a sense of direction with this combination of terrain and time of day. Just for all you know, it could be leading you in tight circles. But after an interval of maybe half an hour, you do notice that the trees are a little further apart. They're not quite as thick on the ground. The trunks aren't quite as girthy as they had been, and you can see the light as a consequence coming through more clearly. It must be actually quite bright, or else you're getting closer to it slowly. And it has what feels like a wholesome quality to it. Something between golden late afternoon summer sunlight and a cozy hearth fire and a cheerful candle. It conjures so many nostalgic feelings in you when you see it. And then you sort of round a curve in the available path of dry land, and there it is. It's honestly not much at first, just a globe of bright golden light shining out from a small clearing in this swamp. It is hard to tell without frames of reference, but you'd say it's the size of a bull's head, maybe, only spherical. Fairly large, but you could probably get your arms around it. And shining with an almost, well, halo around it, like for our present day players and listeners, street light on a foggy night. Though there doesn't seem to be any fog currently. And it's extremely welcoming. In fact, it's welcoming enough that we should introduce the concept of auctoritas here. So one of the divine attributes that Nobilis have is spirit. And this is, among other things, their defense against miraculous effects. Dusk has 3, and Lissa has 1. So, Dusk, you see a very pretty light. Seems like it should be bright enough to hurt your eyes, but it isn't really. And you behold it kind of happily and take in the surroundings. They don't quite light up like it's daylight, but you can see so much more. The green of the moss and the brown of the bark of the trees and sort of the reflective black surface of the water at night. Lissa, though, you need to make an eerie roll, which I regret to inform you, you can't succeed at.
Yeah, I have exactly 1.
Yeah.
So yeah,
for our listeners
roll the
and
5
for me,
just for good measure. But hey,
for our listeners, just for like does how much, like, does the number with which she doesn't succeed matter?
So not necessarily, but what I was going to say is, as a Hail Mary, having rolled your 5, if you would like to roll 1 more die, and if you can get a 5 on it, you'll have succeeded.
surprising no one. Got a 7.
Fair enough. So, Lissa, you see this light, and it stirs in you feelings you haven't felt since before you fell out with your family. You belong here. No, not quite. You don't belong where you're standing. You belong over there, where the light is. It's not just light. It's a feeling, pure and distilled, and it's a feeling that you didn't think you would get to feel again. You find that you've started walking before you even realize it, and that's actually probably when Dusk notices this, is when Lissa takes a couple of stumbling steps towards this light. You can see, bathed in the light, her face looks positively rapturous.
I put a hand on her shoulder, which requires my arm to be at an odd angle, of course. Say, are you quite all right? Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
I'm more than all right. I just feel, isn't it just the most beautiful thing you've ever seen?
While Lissa is saying this, whether she is aware of it or not, she's continuing to walk forward, which gives you, Dusk, a couple of options. You can try to arrest her progress with the hand on her shoulder, you can keep up with her, or you can let your hand slide off her shoulder.
I attempt to arrest her progress with that hand, and knowing that may not happen, I also am going to attempt... I'm trying to think. So I'm looking at what kind of miracle this would be.
Okay.
I would like, being the Duke of Nothing, to make her not see what she is seeing momentarily. Is that a destruction? Is that a... What is that?
I feel like for you, since you're the Duke of Nothing...
There's going to be a lot of double and triple negatives with this character. Yeah.
Yeah. Does make miracle calculation slightly more difficult, but I feel like this is a lesser creation if you only want it to be momentary. You will create nothing.
Yeah.
Momentarily.
And creating, I suppose when you and I talked before we started this thing, when Dusk does this, it's not necessarily that the person sees nothing. They see not what they were looking at. They see something that is the negation of what they were seeing. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and feeling infinitely guilty about it, what I try to do is make her see something that removes the impossible rapture that she's currently seeing from her sight just for a moment, to keep her out of danger.
So here's the thing about that. This is a simple miracle for you if there's no penetration on it.
Got it.
However, you happen to know, as a player, that Lissa has at least some Octoritas. It is entirely possible that as she's part of your what the Nobilis rules will call Familia Caelestis, your family of Nobilis who belong to the same Imperator, you might even be aware that her spirit is 1. You will need to add at least 1 miracle point to have a chance of this taking effect. Fortunately, you have 6 domain miracle points at the moment, so I would go ahead and mark one of those off of your character sheet, bringing you down to 5. And you create this nothing in Lissa's vision. So, Lissa, what is it that you are going to momentarily perceive in place of this wonderful, welcoming light?
My sister.
For our listeners at home, can you briefly describe what you see? It's this flash. It's more than just a split second. It's more than just a lightning flash, but it's not much more. And for a moment where that light is, you see...
It's almost as though I'm looking through the window of a parlor from the outside. And though the parlor is warm and well lit, with a very elegant and regal-looking woman at its center, I'm very well aware that I'm excluded from this environment.
Once that image does clear, the light that you see seems tinged with red. This is also true for dusk. It has deepened to a little bit more of a red, and Lissa has stopped walking forward. The feeling that was there, you can remember it so clearly, and you sort of can even perceive it a little bit from this light, but it doesn't have the same hold on you as it did. And the light starts to kind of bob in place, back and forth a little bit. The red lingers. And then another one, some 50 yards off through the trees, comes on. And then off to the other side, a little bit closer, another one. Takes about 5 seconds to reach full brilliance.
Hey, Firefly friends. Hey, could we have a word? I assume you're sentient. Little new around these parts, but name's Lissa, and I have a bit of a story to tell you if you have an ear for it.
This is gonna seem like I am joking, but I am not. Lissa, would you please roll Charm plus Fascinate?
Hell yeah.
Which is for you 5 dice plus an expert die. So you'll set that expert die to what you want, the result you want, before you roll the others, and then you'll roll 5 dice.
I guess I'm gonna set it to lucky number 7. I've never been really good with expert dice.
They are a gamble.
Yeah. So lucky number 7 and rolling my 5 dice.
Mm-hmm.
Look, one fell off. At
That
the
one can
very
be
least, I
rerolled.
have 2 2s, but let me re-roll this last
right.
one. Yeah, 2 2s.
Where as you spoke, the distant lights had started to draw slowly closer, they kind of pause, and you become aware that all around you, in a circle, going out seemingly from about 40 feet away to kind of as far as you can see through the trees, other lights have come on, all exactly the same slightly red-tinged golden shade. But your entreaty seems to have paused them at least. You can't make a precise count because of the obscuring trees, but there are, at a conservative estimate, 10 to 12. Probably more further off if you had to guess.
I take a seat in the middle of the clearing. I'm like, yeah, it's nice to meet you. I don't know, like, if there's a way we can chat, let me know. But here's the thing, I'm sure you've picked this up by now, but like, I've got this little thing inside my soul, and I'm not particularly keen on it. You are gorgeous. You made me feel happier than I felt in a long time, and I don't want. If anything, I'd like to be a friend, but also that part of my soul kind of burns just admitting that. So maybe there's something we can work out, because the big guy that has some control over my soul, which I didn't ask for, doesn't want you in the swamp. But I also, you're kind of great.
I got the sense that very lovely thing you did was an attack. I don't know. I had a sort of a threat response somewhere in my brain, but I join her on the ground after realizing that I'm still standing up and gesticulating somewhat wildly. And I say, no, what was that?
I was going to say, you both squelch somewhat when you sit down.
I wince, but I don't stop. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, there's probably a lot more words, but it's
Sure.
But I guess as we say words, are we noticing any response? Are they changing color? Are they moving more, moving less?
The ones further away are staying where they are. The ones about 5 kind of nearest to you are drifting closer. Their color isn't changing, and you actually note that, like, if you had a light source that was moving, even if there weren't like obstructions in the way, you sort of have a sense of like the rays of light, right, kind of moving around you. These seem oddly fixed. They don't waver, they don't glimmer, they don't shift. They just kind of move. Spotlight on a dolly, but even a little bit more uncanny. As they get closer, that sandpaper feeling on your mind gets more and more intense. And really, with the ones that are around in this vicinity now, it doesn't again look like daylight, but everything is pretty well lit. If you're paying attention, you can probably see eye shine from critters, kind of wondering what in the world is going on.
All right, then. One thing at a time. I pick one of them more or less at random, one of the ones approaching, and I say, if you understand Taraxan, brighter, briefly. Dimmer if no. Brighter for yes, dimmer for no.
When you point, they all stop. And then once you're finished talking, there's about 2 seconds, and then they start drifting a little closer again. They're about 15 feet away now. And they're passing, one of them is passing over the nearest bit where the water sort of approaches the ground that you're on. Again, very sort of uneven ridge lines through the floor of the swamp that you're following, mostly around just where there are, trees close enough together. And it becomes time for some sight rolls, which is going to be 2 for Lissa and 3 for Dusk.
I did not get a match, but this seems... No, I'm going to hold off because I have lucky as a advantage, but I don't think this is a very important roll, so I'm going to leave it as is.
Lucky for our listeners, once per session, you may re-roll a pool when no matches show up.
I have a feeling that's going to be real handy at some point. I did not get any matches. I didn't get any matches either, for the record.
Okay. The glare off the water is somewhat distracting. It's very still. There's no movement in the air. Nothing is moving underneath it. And the lights that are moving towards you, the 5 closest ones, they all stop at the same distance from you, about 10 feet. From where you're sitting, and they start very slowly to rotate around you. If you've ever played an early 3D first-person game where the environments were rendered, but everything in them was a sprite that faced you no matter what direction you were looking at it from, 2D objects in a 3D space, that's kind of the effect of them rotating around you. They seem to keep the same exact orientation towards you as they begin to move. Not fast, but evenly spaced and in a circle. That sandpaper feeling is approaching being physically painful. It's very uncomfortable, very distracting.
If you guys could just not do that for a moment, you got to understand that it's kind of like, I'm sure you're feeling it too, because like the whole darkness and light thing, but it's a little bit uncomfortable, and all I want to do is just talk and see if we can work something out. If you had mouths, I would suggest that I go buy you a drink somewhere, but I don't want to make any assumptions about your mouth status, but I would just like to talk.
You hear a subdued, almost muted splashing noise from the direction of that nearest bit of water. But you can't really see beyond this slowly accelerating ring of lights. The glare is too great. You can't quite tell what's going on the other side. You can see that the original one that you think you were following, the one that you think you saw first, is just kind of hanging out, a fixed still point just beyond the ring. Just perfectly still in the air. A little ways behind it. You hear more. It's a very quiet, subdued splashing. It's coming from several directions now.
Dosk, you're in the swamp with a pacifist?
I've never been accused of being a pacifist, but I've never been in this situation before. I'm not sure if violence is warranted. I'm not actually clear on whether violence is possible. Are they? Have we established that these are what we're talking to, or what we might talk to, and not manifestations of something? Like, are these? He wouldn't say like these. Are these people? Are these a spell? What's happening?
At what's happening, there is motion just beyond this now fairly rapidly orbiting ring of lights floating around you, specifically into the brief gap between two of them steps, well, what appears to be a remarkably well-preserved, if extremely waterlogged corpse with golden light shining from its eyes. And when it opens its mouth as well. It staggers towards you, and then you see its fellows behind it and around you coming towards the ring.
I manage a friendly good morning.
That is a wonderful initial reaction. This is probably the time where, if you would like to take any particular miraculous action in response to this, you probably have just time for it. Otherwise, we'll be moving into mortal combat.
Yeah.
I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
I had a feeling it was any imagination.
As the bard wrote,
So-
dunna.
Test your might. The eye shine that I saw earlier sparked a memory in me, and I'm not quite sure. Like it's one of those things that feels almost nostalgic, but I can't quite put my finger on where I remember it. But I reach out to the eye shine, and And though Lissa may not necessarily realize that this is what she's doing, I just really inspire a rabid fury, a lesser creation, hopefully, in the eye shine that I see around me, but not towards the corpses just yet. It's just going to be a very defensive, trying to guard myself, a defensive fury, like someone had just bombarded me with something I was not prepared for.
Okay. Yeah, so a lesser creation for you is a simple miracle, and so reaching out thusly, suddenly from all around you, you hear irate yips, yowls, howls, growls, and barks of various kinds, maybe even some hissing, which for some reason, Lissa, you find both comforting and it makes your skin crawl. It's bizarre reaction that you don't really expect, but the animals in the vicinity, you're not entirely sure how far away, suddenly become very active and very noisy, and the spinning circle of lights pauses for a few heartbeats, and during that you can see further than you could before. There are probably 30 corpses various distances from you, arrayed in a circle kind of going back surrounding you, that have also paused, and some of the ones further out from you are looking in the direction of these trees and these animals, and even some towards the water. Actually, right before the lights start spinning again, you see one get dragged under by something in the water. And a much noisier splash than those of their emerging.
Oh, sorry about that.
The lights take on a more and more red glow as the occasional altercations between swamp animals and animated corpses sort of carry on until by the time they are spinning at their previous velocity around you again, they are kind of a carmine color.
We're about to be
particular
in something more like daylight. Is that right?
Well,
we're
imagine the hell lights behind me, the red hue lights that I have in my living room.
This is really for real though.
It is bright, and it has been somewhat bright, but it is also sort of been a dazzling light. Now it is becoming a much more sinister ambient tone.
Okay. I'm trying to think if there's a way to keep us in more dark, because that instinctively feels like an advantage, but we're up against pure light here, so maybe not.
So if there is anything in particular, Dusk, that you are doing on a miraculous level, this would be the time.
Absolutely.
To do
well,
it.
that's
having more or less simultaneously.
That's why I was asking for sure. Was whether I was trying to sort of preserve what darkness exists in this dark, if not for the supernatural swamp, and sort of have it crush in on what is becoming the field of combat in some way, like make the natural darkness stay. Which I guess is a lesser preservation. I guess I'm not sure how lesser it is. This is what we're feeling out together, esteemed GM.
As it is local.
Yeah. I don't need to stop the sunrise. I just need to make it dark where we are.
Yeah. Indeed. So you essentially just light is something, where there before was nothing, and you saw how dark the swamp was when you arrived here, and you simply intentionally but also somewhat instinctually pull on that nothing. You strengthen it, you stiffen its spine, as it were, and around you the light from these things starts to actually behave somewhat erratically, and after a moment the ones spinning around you, those 5, seem to have trouble. They're pushing through the dark as though it were deep snow, fitfully and with effort, and they're spinning slows, which seems to have the knock-on effect of the walking corpses getting a little confused. But by this time, the ones that were closest to you are upon you. So, the way that combat using the mortal attributes in this game works, it does not have a fixed initiative system. Instead, the actions with the widest sets, that is to say the successes with the most numbers in them. So I have 4 3s. I'm going to go before 2 10s. Determines the order of actions. Not all actions taken here have to be attacks or dodges or blocks or maneuvers, but you will just get the 1 action per round. So let's go ahead and start with Lissa. What action are you taking as you come under attack by these lit up corpses?
The good news is that due to my martial path of what I've termed the unyielding way, Snake and Grass will allow me to stand without, it's a multiple action without penalty. So since I was still prone on the ground, the first thing I'm going to do is get to my feet, and then I'm going to utilize Gliding Step to kind of shove the corpse nearest to me back to the ground, probably as I'm shouting something like, hey, this doesn't have to come to blows, we can just have a civilized conversation. Why does it always come to blows?
All right, so if you're just shoving, that's going to be body plus fight, or 5 dice for you.
Okay. I got 2 10s.
2 10s, all right. Not bad. Dusk, what is your action this time?
Well, I need to get to my feet, and I think I have to spend an action basically getting ready to fight. So I'm gonna get to my feet and draw the weapon that I would have with me, which would be my Nobilis. And for anybody who's not familiar, this is sort of a it's a bladed weapon with a wooden handle, and the blades sort of look like a beautiful multi-directional piece of calligraphy.
That's a good description.
So this is dear to Dusk. It was a gift from someone in his family who'd been north of the Shadowed Lands, but it is a real thing, dear listener. And so I prepare that.
All right. You won't have to roll for those, but you managed to get to your feet and ready your Nobilis. The corpses nearest you are going to make their own efforts to harm you, which I'm going to roll for currently. Fortunately for you guys, they are pretty clumsy.
I will note as well, because this is the first time it's come up, any attack made against me is at difficulty 3, because I know bouncing roll from my studies of the School of the Insouciant Monkey.
Some of these are truly amazing.
This is why you plumb the depths of lesser known systems, is to learn about stuff like the School of the Insouciant Monkey.
Greg Stolze, who wrote Rain, which these systems are lifted from, is bar none one of my favorite RPG makers, because not only is he responsible for things like the School of the Insouciant Monkey and the Elegant One roll engine, but I've played several campaigns in Unknown Armies, and I'm given to understand he actually wrote for the video game Prototype back in the 2000s, which had a very creative premise. I don't know precisely what he did on it, but he was definitely in the credits.
That's awesome.
Imagine my surprise. Yeah.
I love that game.
So
I love that. I thought the game was better than it had any right to be. It was it was way more than the sum of its parts.
Yeah. If listeners are not aware of this, even just maybe look up some reviews or some videos. It was a very compellingly playable kind of open world supervillain game.
Yeah, good stuff.
For lack of a better word. So I think the first action that resolves is Lissa's 2 10s there on that shove, which has you putting, because of your height and sort of your momentum getting up, 2 hands on either side of one of these corpses' heads, your fingers partially obscuring the light coming out of its eyes, and you give it a mighty shove backwards. And as it is falling backwards, one of the lights moving around you passes through it. and what touched the light is just gone. There's no burn, no nothing. It's just as if it never were. The corpse collapses with nothing below about the bottom of its collarbone in evidence. The lights continue to revolve.
Did I just get first blood by shoving something?
I think you did.
Holy cow.
That said, second blood goes to a corpse to your right, who... Did I get that right? Yes. Sort of flails at you with what amount to just bones protruding from the ends of its fingers in a way that does not do you serious lasting harm, but does inflict pain on your right arm. So you're going to take 2 shock damage to your right arm. The locational damage in the rain system is based on the number shown on the dice. So 5s and 6s are damage to the right arm, and it comes in 2 varieties, shock and killing. Shock is somebody punches you, killing is somebody stabs you, and enough shock damage can eventually accumulate killing damage. One of the things that this system does is if Lissa takes a bunch more shock damage to her right arm, she will lose the use of it for the fight. If she fills up her right arm with killing damage, she will lose the arm.
It's my good arm.
Unlikely, but I believe you. I imagine both your arms are pretty good. I given to understand that smithing tends to beef you up in the arm area.
Bad arms here. On Lissa, anyway.
Both my
Indeed.
hands are better, but...
No, fair enough.
So, Dosk is on his feet. Lissa has gotten a slightly numbing set of bruised, sort of bony fingerprints on one arm. One of the mobile corpses has been engulfed by this light. The one that you initially saw is still stationary behind the ring of revolving lights, although actually maybe not perfectly stationary. It seems to be gently bobbing in place.
So the only one sort of within arm's reach is the one that's attacking Lissa currently.
Yes, there are several more who will probably be entering this ring very shortly,
Gotcha.
though. But it is time for our next set of attempted actions. Lissa?
What's the status of my swamp critter friends?
Still noisy, you can't see very clearly, but there is splashing, growling, shrieking. Something seems to be happening, but it's all, you're sort of, dazzled by the lights in front of you. You can't see very far into the darkness beyond.
I should have planned for this sooner.
While she's thinking, Dosk, do you have an action for this one?
Yeah, let's go to Dosk first.
Yeah, I mean, if one of them is on Lissa, Dosk's first instinct would be to dive and try to help her, especially if it actually made physical contact. So if that's the one that's closest, Dosk probably slashes at the thing's head with Nobilis.
For sure. Go ahead and roll your combat skill there, which I believe is going to be coordination plus Nobilis, 4 dice plus an expert die. So set that expert die first, and then roll your other 4 dice.
Record, that expert die is going to 6, because 6s have been treating me pretty well.
All right.
Indeed, 4 6s. Including the expert die.
4 6s. Nicely done. All right. So that is probably going to go first, but we'll get the rest of the actions before we resolve it. Lissa?
Are we allowed to use miracles in combat?
Sure, it will take your action.
Yeah.
But you can use miracles in combat.
Because I've summoned the critters, so I've got the fauna all riled up, so might as well rile up the flora. Because as I imagine I'm kind of moving around, I'm aware of like the swamp reeds and grass.
Yeah, in this area, you're mostly just talking about trees. There is some moss, there is a little bit of undergrowth, but for the most part, you're talking about trees growing thickly enough that there is very little in the way of undergrowth. In fact, probably most of the plant life down here is on the water and not on the ground, though that could be more helpful.
Yeah. So anything that is viney, I'm just going to kind of get righteously angry about the fact that I've tried to talk to these things and they seem to be intent on swiping at me, so I want to just, subdue them. Maybe talk some sense into them. It doesn't have to come to this, so might as well just have, the leafy things tie them down for a bit.
You let your frustration flow out of you. It seems stronger than you would have expected, and it flows first into the ground and then is picked up by roots. And I'm blanking now on what fungi have, but they're not roots. Not important.
I know what you mean, though. They look like roots, but you're right that they're not roots.
And then you feel that frustration flowing into the ground, into the roots and others, and being drawn up into the plants, the mosses, and then there are loud creaking and splashing sounds, as well as the sounds of things moving through air and dirt. And you can see the dark shapes of tree trunks actually sort of waving in the shadowed light cast beyond this ring that is revolving around you. Let's see how those corpses do. Okay, so the first thing that happens is, Dusk, your 4 6s land you an almost shattering hit to the corpse that had grabbed at Lissa. Your Mambele lodges in this thing's arm where it has outstretched to manhandle Lissa, and you feel it tear through tissue and lodge in bone. With one more good yank, you could pull this arm all the way off. You feel pretty badass. However, it keeps you from noticing that another one has made it through the ring of revolving lights, and it thwacks you upside the head with a blunted fist. You take 2 shock damage to your head.
The moment before I get hit, I say, "You could have had a drink," feeling very badass. I get hit in the head.
All right. It is not entirely clear what all of those plants are doing, outside of this ring of light, but the lights go from sort of like a, sunlight coming through red stained glass color to simply just a dark crimson that you can barely see through. The ring around you stops revolving, and all of the corpses that you can see, 12 or more, are standing still, facing towards you, with their eyes and mouths wide open, and this bloody light streaming out of them. Now, some of them, while they are doing this, are also getting accosted. More comically, you see a possum land on one's head and just start kind of, biting and tearing at it, to no particular effect as far as the corpse seems concerned, but much more dramatically, about 40 degrees to the right of that one and further back, a cypress tree pulls a root up by the knee and sort of swings it lash-like, catching and wrapping one of these corpses and squeezing it rapidly until it comes apart, legs in one direction, torso in the other.
Sorry about that.
There is more noise of animals and plants, and you can see more movement, but you can kind of get a glimpse of the sort of thing that's going on. At this point, I don't know that either of you really has the eerie skill. But Dusk, you do have 2 cents, so go ahead and roll your sense here.
Roll my 2 cents. Show myself out.
Oh, please don't. We're having so much fun.
No matches.
Well, that was downright sonorous. Okay. So, you don't really get any particular feeling, but just like that whole thing earlier where you got sort of a sense of things that you hadn't had before, both of you do experience a kind of tug on your mind and you hear sort of very distantly, as though through static, not that that would be a concept that your characters would have, you hear Mott's voice. One word. It just says, "See." And you're actually pretty sure you could do it again after it happens. But there's a sensation like an eye opening after a long sleep, but in your mind. And that sandpaper feeling gets so much worse. And what you see is alarming. Because before, there was nothing particular other than these lights and corpses. Now, you can, again, not exactly with your eyes, but perceive the tutelary spirits of every tree and plant around, as well as sort of the internal character of the animals in your view. You can see the animated corpses as silhouettes in this spiritual landscape, and you can see the thing that's actually in front of you. That slightly bobbing light that's been hanging back is actually affixed to a tendril that retreats up into the trees. All of the lights are on tendrils that are coming down from the canopies of the trees, although none of them quite as long or as thick as that one bobbing a little ways away. Where that one enters the trees, you can actually just see, with the aid of this sort of spiritual sense, as well as the lights of the, well, strange tentacles themselves, you think it must be a face, but it is like looking at a lamprey head on, directly in the mouth. Only it's not a mouth with teeth, it's a aperture in reality, with shards of reality poking into it in some places, and out of that aperture is shining this golden light that is almost a physically comforting presence, like a blanket or a warm fire. You think you've found the thing controlling the lights, but you're not at all sure what it is. And it does not seem to like being noticed. Once again, Dusk, I think your spirit keeps you safe at 3. But Lissa, I need you to roll your knowledge. This is going to be 2 dice. Basically, you're rolling counterspell, but since you don't have any dice in the skill, you're going to use your stat.
Okay.
For our listeners at home, this is often not how miracles would work. They just do work, but this is not precisely a miracle either.
Table talk. Do I want to use lucky on this one? Because didn't get anything, and I probably wouldn't get anything a second time.
If not now, then when?
It's a reasonable point.
Yeah, I'm gonna... Lady Luck smiles upon me and allows me to re-roll my 6 and 1.
Popular with
Hopefully.
men, women, ladies of luck, and fireflies less so.
A little bit closer this time, a 3 and a 2, but still no matches.
So, Lissa, you kind of know what's happening this time. You don't start doing like your legs want to and running towards the tree trunk at the top of which this thing seems perched. You don't run to embrace the main light a little ways back from you. You don't shout in joy and take off, but you are unable to do anything but fight that urge. For a moment, at least.
My eyes well up with the fury with which I fight this urge.
Dusk, you feel this sense wash over you, but there's something of like a water break around you. It's like being the Little Mermaid up on your rock as the wave splits on either side. You know, you get sprayed with it, but you're not submerged. You're not swept away.
That's a beautiful image. Sorry about Macho here.
You
that is a
are
beautiful
fine.
Image. So, what the hell do I do? All right, so it's an aperture in reality. So I wipe the sea spray, metaphorically speaking, from my face. So I guess what I want is to make this thing, to continue the Little Mermaid motif, not part of our world. If its face is an aperture in reality, then I want to close it. And I that's obviously a miraculous action, not a physical action, right? I mean, we're seeing tendrils, but I'm assuming these are not, like, do we know that these are not tendrils we could cut with a knife? These are something else, right?
Metaphysical tendrils.
You are absolutely aware that they are not going to be something that you can sword cut. Here, the how to phrase it, the thing that you are using to see it, you think you can do it again. It's actually, it seems innate. You just didn't know it was there. And what it allows you to see is the spirit of things. What the Nobilis rulebook would call mythic reality, in contrast to our very own prosaic reality. But looking at it in mythic reality, this thing is hard to conceive of. So not only is it primarily not physical, but it's also, it's not like, oh, there's where its brain is, let me cut that out, you know.
I mean, table talk, because I mean, so this is so goddamn abstract. What do we do to this thing? We can't buy it a drink, I don't think, unfortunately.
I think that's off the table now.
I have a vivid image of this thing, just cracking a cold one, but that's probably not in the cards. Cracking an infinite and questionably real cold one. Yeah, I think what Dask is going to try to do is aim for the head, but in the most metaphysical way possible, to focus completely on the thing that we saw that looked like the center, the thing that looked most like the source, and to essentially try to replace possibility and shards of reality with emptiness, to crush light with darkness, to crush existence with non-existence. Again, with now, is that a creation or a destruction? With the estate of nothing, I leave that to you, obviously.
I am actually going to go for a lesser change.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is level 6, because you are essentially taking what is something, if not something that you know what it is, and trying to change it into the absence of things. There's probably room if you wanted to make this more general, or if you wanted it to have a specific effect, to bump that up to a major creation at level 7, which I think you have the miracle points to accomplish if you wish.
I do. This is a good time to ask, because I don't remember. How and when do we get miracle points back?
So there are a few methods. They are sort of at the end of an arc in the story, where you have time to sort of like rest and refresh and kind of spend time in the chancel and absorb, kind of the energies of the cosmos back into you. You'll refresh, but within that, your primary way of getting them back is to siphon them off from miraculous opponents, primarily by, beating someone up gives you a pittance. Ruining something they care about or that is connected to them, or better yet, subverting it, gets you closer to a jackpot.
Okay, so opportunities will come up, and they'll be strange. Okay, let's see here. bumping that up to a lesser... Oh, a major creation, you're saying. So if level 7 would be a major. So that's make impressive, special, or big things. So in this case, a large amount of nothing, where before there was a large amount of something inconceivable.
Yes, and if you wanted a specific effect here, that extra miracle point would essentially buy it. I mean, if it's possible with the creation of nothing.
Yeah, I suppose what is in Dosk's mind is not just to oppose this thing, but to undo everything remarkable about what it does. It's turning death into something like life, and it's turning an attack into something weirdly pleasant, and the idea would be to restore what ought not to be quite so horribly wonderful.
So may I propose then that the major creation that you would be undertaking here is sort of instantiating in the same physical and spiritual space as this thing, its exact inverse.
Yeah, well said. 1 over whatever the hell this thing is.
There you go. For Dosk, is there any particular action or words or effect internally or externally that accompanies the expenditure of 3 domain miracle points and the use of a major creation? Is there any, sort of flourish or description you would like to give this action?
Having just been hit in the head and then seen, Dosk spins on his heels and says to the shambling corpse that had hit him in the head, that drink is absolutely never going to be yours. And then he screams at the forest, and none of this can possibly be any longer.
Beautiful.
You won't see this, Dosk, but as you are saying this, you become sort of like limbed in not exactly blackness, but the sense of like light being sucked into your outline before it can be seen. And then that effect transfers from you in the blink of an eye to every visible, spiritually visible part of this thing. And the effect gets stronger and stronger, and the view of it, in your spiritual sight that you can see, becomes streaked and pulled at as though by gravity. And then there is a moment where it seems like an equilibrium has been reached, followed by a loud thunderclap sound that you feel more than hear, and all of the corpses that you can see collapse where they stand, some to immediately be savaged and eaten by animals and plants, but all of the lights simultaneously wink out, leaving you in absolute darkness. And it feels comfortable. It feels homey. It feels like that sandpaper on your mind is finally gone, and all is right once again in the world, if you can ignore the sounds of, chewing.
I breathe a sigh of relief and kind of turn my attention to the critters. Is there anything near me?
Not particularly. That rotating ring of these lights kept most things at least the 10 feet away from you, and, they were distracted, so nothing in evidence near you. And also, the darkness may feel right and good and comfortable, but you can't really see very well through it.
I just kind of utter a very shaky, You can stop now. It's all right. It's okay. Good animals.
From the darkness, you hear a bobcat yowl and a wolf yip, and then splashing as one or the other of them retreats into the water, followed by contented tearing and chewing noises.
I guess they got a meal.
They did at that. This was a strange first day on the job.
Yeah, I don't know. Thank you, Dosk. I just, what you did was really, really incredible.
Me?
I kind of smile at you.
I somehow feel it,
and-
even though I can't see it. I say, me
Yeah.
incredible. You command nature.
I did it. It just, I don't know. They just seemed so. I just felt them. I don't know what to make of any of this. I need a drink.
There's a beat after you say drink, and then you hear an alligator's jaws snap a little ways away.
At least they're not mad at us, I guess.
No, they certainly seem to be content. It seems that all's well that ends well. It seems to have ended. That's something. I'm sorry, by the way, about taking away. You just seemed so happy, but I somehow knew that they were making you happy to hurt you, and that's the worst thing one can do.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what I don't know what came over me. It's just it was something. It didn't have to be that way, Like, I don't understand why everything has to turn into just so much conflict.
To be honest, I don't know why it didn't affect me that way. Maybe I'm not as optimistic as you about nonviolent resolution.
Well, regardless of the reasoning, you saved my skin, so I owe you one.
Don't mention it. I mean, you did just mention. You know what I mean.
If I'll promise not to mention if you don't mention the alligator.
It's a deal.
So you, in the moment of silence that falls, again, sort of wreathed in this embrace of darkness, you feel, again, kind of in that perception of the sight, that you've learned to use through this encounter. You feel Fermata just over your shoulder. No matter which way you face, you can feel it there, here in the absolute darkness of the swamp. You think if you just took the correct step, you could get back there.
I reach out for Dosk and the darkness, and start to head back.
You find his shoulder unerringly. You don't even have to guess. You just know.
I don't start. I'm not surprised. I almost expect it, and we set off together.
The first step you take sees you right outside the gates of Fermata, and the one that you exited through last time bangs open. The silvery light is waiting for you as you head back in from your very first adventure as the Nobilis of the Obsidian God. And I think we can probably pick up with you guys' presumed R&R next time. So I think that concludes this session of Dice Punks and our hero's triumph over the Will-o'-the-Wisp out in the Great Cyanmere. So thank you for joining us. I hope our players and listeners enjoyed it as much as I did, and that you'll all join us again next time. If you're listening to us now, then you probably know where to listen to us, but we can be found almost any place one can listen to podcasts, as well as on the wider web at dicepunks.com and on Twitter as @dicepunks. With that, I think we're ready to say farewell. Say goodbye to the kind folks at home.
Thanks very much for listening, and we strongly encourage you to form parasocial relationships with our characters.
I can't top that. Thank you for listening, everyone.
You're not supposed to just say it, I know, but yeah. Sure.
Remember not to let your past blind you from what your future could be.
Wonderful. And as the poet once said, my night is a dream for free. Till next time. Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in, and stick around through the admin stuff. Romnet has another prophecy for you. Before we get to regular admin, I wanted to take a moment to thank two generous souls who have already backed us on Patreon at the $10 level. We're just so grateful that there are already folks willing to toss double-digit totals at us for this quixotic endeavor, and so our sincerest thanks go out to our patrons, Torias Kane and Denois. In fact, Denois has already used our backer Discord to share with us some fan art they made of the player characters from our Psionics one-shot. If you'd like to check that out, head over to @DicePunks on Twitter, or back us at any level on Patreon to be invited to that Discord server. Thanks again, Denois and Torias Kane. Be sure to tune in again for the next episode of Nightfall, due out on June 1st for a little Nobilis downtime and hijinks. The songs in this episode, theme of the Dice Punks and its acoustic version, were written and recorded by the Duke of Nothing himself, Drew. Cover art is by Joanne, who will be behind the scenes for the time being, but played Rue the Gremlin in our Psionics one-shot. Site design and graphics for DicePunks.com are by Robin, the player behind the irrepressible Lissa, the Duchess of Fury. Rain and the one roll engine it runs on were created by Greg Stolze, whose work can be found in a, well, frankly, astonishing number of cool places, but I'll point you toward gregstolze.com. Nobilis was created by Jenna Caterin Moran, and can be found alongside much of her other really intriguing work, both in and outside of tabletop roleplaying, at afarandsundlessland.wordpress.com/Nobilis. Links to both systems and authors can be found on the Punk Grimoire section of our website, dicepunks.com. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked what you heard, well, that's reward enough on its own, really, but if you're so inclined, you can help us out by rating and reviewing us wherever you listen to us, telling your friends who you think would like us to give us a listen, and even by heading over to our Patreon at patreon.com/dicepunks. We have fun rewards available to backers, including a patron-only Discord and access to the Dice Peaks after show for episodes 1 and following. Regardless, we hope you'll tune in again, and until then, remember, subtlety is for cowards.
Do not venerate the stars. They are merely teeth marks, perforations left by the gnawings of things on the outside that want in.